Procrastination is one of our biggest roadblocks in life, but it doesn't have to be. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Mary Ofori-Attah and I am talking about discipline. This is the second video in a potentially long series talking about how discipline actually leads to freedom. I know if you're hearing this for the first time, you're probably thinking that doesn't make any sense, but I promise you, and I'm going to prove to you that it does make a lot of sense. So if you missed my first video, you can go back and watch that video, get caught up about how discipline and a few simple things have made my day-to-day life so much better. And that's what I'm going to continue talking about today. Today is all about procrastination. And this is a topic I know honestly too well about, because it's something that I actually used to think was a good skill of mine. I thought working under pressure was a positive thing, a good character trait, that I could do so much in such a short amount of time and I was able to accomplish it. But the reality is I was putting myself in these positions of being more stressed, more frustrated, and not being happy or confident in the work that I'm doing because I was procrastinating. I'm sure you can relate if you're watching this video that procrastination is very common. It is something that a lot of us struggle with. We might overcome it at one point in our life. We might go back to it. That is me. I often find myself getting back into this procrastination cycle. So I've had to really overcome it and really address what can I do on a practical, realistic, everyday approach to overcome procrastination. And you can too. I promise you, it's not nearly as overwhelming or as scary as it feels, especially thinking about when you're procrastinating, you already feel overwhelmed, or you feel scared, or you're just not feeling motivated. These are all natural feelings, but there's techniques and approaches that we can use, that we will use to overcome our procrastination and have that freedom by using discipline. Again, it always goes back to discipline, but using discipline to get us to achieve the things that we want and live the life that we want to. The very first step in overcoming procrastination is actually just understanding procrastination. For me personally, if I don't understand something, I will avoid it. I will not try to learn about it. I will not try to face it head on or overcome it or beat it. So if I don't know my procrastination reasons, then I'm not going to deal with procrastination and I will let it continue to control me. So when it comes to your procrastination, you need to slow down and think, why are you procrastinating? What is the reason you're procrastinating? What is that thing that has stopped you from doing the things that in your mind, you know you want to do, you know you're able to do, you just can't seem to do them? So for me, it usually is overwhelm. For you, it could also be overwhelm, or it could also be a fear of failure, a fear of perfectionism, of it never being perfect enough. But a lot of times we think that procrastination relates to laziness. And that has always been a fear of mine. You have probably heard about this. I am so afraid of thinking that I'm lazy or being seen as lazy or just being lazy. But procrastination is not laziness. Procrastination oftentimes comes from a fear in some area of our life. And like I said, it can be overwhelm, perfectionism, even just the fear of starting or the fear of the unknown, because a lot of times we procrastinate things we've never done before. So identifying what is holding you back, what is this procrastination coming from? What's that root cause in your body, in your feeling that is stopping you from doing the things that you want to do? And the biggest thing is realizing it's not laziness. This is not a negative thing that you're procrastinating. It is a coping mechanism that a lot of us use, a lot of us put into play, and we don't even realize it. So again, once you can understand where it's coming from, you can face it head on, you can tackle it, and you can beat procrastination. For me, I use a variety of different techniques to help me with my procrastination because sometimes I procrastinate very small, manageable tasks, and other times I procrastinate the big things, the very overwhelming things in life. So there's different techniques that I use, and I'm going to share those with you today because some of them or all of them will work for you. The first technique is from my favorite, Mel Robbins. If you have not listened to Mel Robbins, you are missing out. She is amazing. She has so much to offer. But I would say with Mel Robbins, the thing that has stuck with me the most is the 5-second rule. It's simple, it's literally 5 seconds, and it's something that you can actually implement starting right now. You can do it right after this video, you can do it in this video. But the main thing is it's something that is so easy to implement and you will see the results of doing it right away. So to break down the 5-second rule is when you feel that you are getting in your own way, you are overthinking, you are letting that inner monologue of negativity take over, you count down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you go. You do not let yourself think about it anymore. You do not let yourself talk yourself out of it and think, maybe later or not right now. This doesn't feel right. No, you just do it. You count down from 5 to 1 and you go. You move, you do whatever the task is, you get up, you go outside, you take that garbage out, whatever it may be, you count down from 5 seconds and you eliminate the ability to talk yourself out of doing something that can be very simple. For me, I use this approach to start my day because again, it's getting into that flow, getting your brain out of this stagnation, this freeze, this overwhelm and inability to do anything. So I use the 5-second rule for my alarm clock. It literally starts my day on a high note because I'm going to be honest, I don't love getting up at the sound of my alarm clock. It's not a feeling I enjoy. It brings me back to high school and I'm thinking about all the things I have to do. And then I'm even thinking about today and all the things I have to do today. And so for me, I often want to hit snooze. But with the 5-second rule, as my alarm goes off and I, come to and I wake up, I count down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I get up. I don't just turn the alarm off. No, that's not it. I actually get up and start my day by counting down from 5 to 1. It's 5 seconds to get myself together and get up and out of bed. So I turn that alarm off and I get up and I get out. And I start doing whatever it is I had planned to begin my day. And for me, this is so important because I personally believe how you start your day sets your mood for the remainder of the day. So if you start your day behind or stressed or overwhelmed, that energy goes with you into everything you do that day. But on the other hand, if you start your day in a flow, you've already accomplished something, you got up out of bed right away, you feel energized, you feel ready to tackle the day, that's how you're going to handle everything that comes at you that day. Because in all honesty, we have no idea what each day brings, and we don't know how stressed or stressful the day is going to be. So I like to start my day already feeling accomplished and like I've done something and I didn't procrastinate the very first task of my day. So the magic of the 5-second rule is to get you to stop overthinking. If you're someone who's like me and feels overwhelmed, your inner monologue and dialogue is going off nonstop, this is one of the best ways to get that to stop from happening and allow you to start doing. And it's just 5 seconds. It's simple, it's digestible, and you can use it for so many different things. So using the 5-second rule can really help you with small tasks or big tasks, but the main thing is it gets you moving and it gets you going and not procrastinating. The second approach I love is the Pomodoro technique. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's become extremely popular, especially here on YouTube. But there's a reason why it's so popular is because it's so successful. So it's based on time blocking. If you haven't heard about time blocking, it really is blocking out your time for different tasks, responsibilities, goals, things you're working on. But the Pomodoro technique is my favorite because it rewards you with a little break. So if you watch the first video, you're going to remember, I love a reward, I love accountability and a treat, something to say, you know what, you did it and here's something in return. That's what I think is so amazing about this technique is you get that almost instant reward for doing what you said you would do. So for example, you would set a timer for about 25 minutes to accomplish one of your tasks. Once you finish that 25 minutes and your task, you get a 5-minute break and not a scrolling on your phone break. I say a stand up, a stretch, a move, a look out the window break. So you want to avoid treating yourself with something that can cause more procrastination, like doom scrolling. Do not pick up your phone and open Instagram or Twitter or TikTok. Just stand up and move and give yourself a reward that will actually feel good. So the great thing about this is it doesn't just work for small tasks. You can also use it for larger tasks. I know you're probably thinking 25 minutes. What am I even going to get done in 25 minutes? Well, the first thing is you actually will get a lot done in 25 minutes if you set a timer. By putting an end on something and like knowing you have that time frame to work within, you actually will achieve way more than you realize. It's sort of like what we do with procrastination, but we're using it to our benefit. But it also works for longer things. So let's say that I'm editing a YouTube video. That's not a 25-minute task. Oftentimes it's like a 2-hour task. And it always surprises me how much time it takes. But the thing about that is I set the timer for 55 minutes, maybe even an hour and 20. Sometimes I know when I get into a flow, I can go for about an hour, hour and a half without feeling fatigued or overwhelmed. So knowing what works for you is how you can set these timers. And please always use a timer. But I set the timer for, let's say, an hour and 20 minutes, knowing that that's a good amount of time to get into a flow, to get the majority of a video edited. But my reward isn't going to be 5 minutes. My reward is actually going to be much longer. So usually for that length of time, it's a 30-minute break period. Sometimes I use that as my lunch, or I use that as my afternoon matcha, and I read a little bit. Yes, I will actually pick up a book and read on these sort of breaks because it gets me out of thinking about the things I have to do and the thing I have to go back to and continue doing. So you want the break to feel truly like a reward. Again, going back to discipline, we are able to be disciplined when we reward ourselves for doing something. So the Pomodoro technique really does focus on time blocking, making things feel very manageable. That is the point, because work and all of our tasks should be manageable. And then also using rewards as a way of reminding yourself that you can do these hard things and you can get them done in a lot quicker time than you may realize. And sometimes they take a lot more time, but that's okay. Once you recognize how much time something takes, then you can use your timer accordingly. The Pomodoro technique really allows you to realize that you can achieve these things by time blocking and making things into a shorter period of time. You're going to start to see all the things you have accomplished rather than the things that are still on your to-do list. Another approach that I really love is the 2-minute rule. This technique, this approach, this rule, whatever you want to call it, is from David Allen, and it is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. There is a 2-minute rule. The concept is if it takes you less than 2 minutes, do not put it off. Do it right away. So I know this is something that I tend to do is I will put something down. I will put the dishes in the sink. I will think about doing them, but I don't do it right away. I know it's going to take me 2 minutes. It's usually going to take me less than 2 minutes. I just don't do it right away. I get back to whatever else I was doing. And I don't realize that by not doing these things right away, I'm actually procrastinating doing them. So the concept is whatever this task is, if it's work, school, your personal life, your home life, if it takes you 2 minutes, do it right away rather than letting it linger, letting it pile up, and feeling very overwhelmed. Oftentimes, simple is best, especially when it comes to beating procrastination. And this is, again, another simple approach that you will start to reap the rewards pretty immediately, which, as someone who loves data, who loves a reward, I like to see my efforts prove the results as fast as possible. So then I keep on it and I keep going in that direction. So for me, one way that I really use this 2-minute rule, especially because I work from home, is in my home. Every single day, I can leave things around. Don't tell my husband. I can leave things around. I can put that down and think I'm going to come back to that. Put the dishes in the sink, not put them in the dishwasher. It's really the same amount of time. What am I doing by leaving things around and not doing them right away? I'm actually creating a separate to-do list for me to deal with later. And working from home, that means when I'm done my workday, I turn away from my desk and I look around and I realize, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed. I have so much I still have to do. I have to put the dishes away. I have to take the trash out. I have to get the mail. And then my mind starts running. I get overwhelmed and I fall into procrastination and freeze. And I don't do those things. And then another day goes by and they start to pile up even more. And this is not the type of person I want to be. This is not how I want to approach my life. So I've started implementing the 2-minute rule specifically during my day while working from home, is being very cognizant of how long is this going to take if I just rinse these plates and put them in the dishwasher? How long is it going to take if I take this full smelly garbage and put it in the bin that's 20 feet from my home? Really not that long. Again, it's usually less than 2 minutes. And as you start to do those things, it starts to train your brain to see you are accomplishing things. You're not procrastinating. You're actually achieving things. You're checking things off on a to-do list, whether it's mental or physical, and you're getting things done. And so you start to, again, get in that flow. You start to feel excited about achieving. You start to feel motivated because your space is clean. You feel accomplished. And then you start to train your brain into wanting to actually do things rather than falling into that sort of freeze place of feeling overwhelmed, feeling fear or doubt, and not doing anything at all. And since most of these tasks take 2 minutes or less, it really doesn't take away from all the other things that you need to do. So while I'm doing these throughout the day, I honestly am still able to accomplish everything else I need to for work while also completing these small 2-minute tasks. It's not overwhelming, and it actually makes your day, and again, all those things in your mind that you're thinking about, way more digestible so that you don't feel overwhelmed and you don't fall back into that procrastination cycle. By eliminating these small tasks right away, it helps clear up mental space to start to handle and tackle those bigger tasks and have more energy to accomplish them. Another approach I love goes back to the concept of discipline, which is focus on the progress, not perfection. So really, it's about focusing on starting, not about finishing. I know that sounds pretty straightforward. Yeah, just start it. That's how you get out of procrastination. You start something. But the reality is we often look at the big picture of what we're trying to accomplish, whether it is writing your final essay or maybe creating a work back schedule for a campaign launch. These are things that can feel very daunting when you look at the big picture. But what we want to do is focus on those smaller, tangible, bite-sized steps, which is just starting. Start somewhere, start with the very first step. So let's say it's your essay that you are feeling overwhelmed. You have so many thoughts, so many ideas, and you just can't get things going. Start with the very first sentence, or start with 3 bullet points, the 3 things that you want to prove with your essay. Really begin with the very minute, very basic beginning details that almost feel pretty straightforward, that you haven't written them down or you haven't made a point of outlining them. Begin with those, and you're going to start to see that a flow starts to happen. So let's say I'm working on a work back schedule for a campaign that's launching. And there's usually a lot of things that go involved, whether that is the marketing, the digital marketing, the out of home, SMS, social media, the different channels. See, as I'm saying this, I'm already starting to feel overwhelmed. So instead of looking at all these different things that go into a work back schedule, I look at what are the dates? When are we starting all of this work? And when does it need to be completed? Those are the 2 sort of borders for a work back schedule. And then I slowly start to fill things in. The reality is when a task, a project, something we want to do feels too big, it's usually when we don't start it. Is we feel too overwhelmed, we feel too afraid of failure, we feel just too much in our body, and we just don't move. So by focusing on starting, taking that first step, beginning the journey to reach that big picture is how you actually get some momentum going. I'm a very visual person, so I always think about it either like looking at a puzzle. You know the big picture of the puzzle, but you can't solve it by just shoving all the puzzle pieces on the table and pushing them together. You have to start somewhere. I usually start with the border of a puzzle, so those are my first steps. You just focus on the border of the puzzle. Or if you think about a staircase, you know you want to get to the top. You don't know how many steps are from the bottom to the top. Well, you take 1 step. So think about it metaphorically if you have to. Think about it in a visual manner if that helps you. But really just begin to break down that task into very tangible, very bite-sized steps and begin and start moving. Once you get this flow and this movement, your brain is actually going to start to understand the next step. You're starting to get a little bit more creative. Your body and your mind can anticipate what's coming next, and you start to feel more confident about completing this task that you once were overwhelmed and afraid of even beginning. And you will start to see what you've accomplished. And again, start to feel proud of yourself and realize you can do these things. You can get over your own way, and you can use discipline to arrive at accomplishment and success and being the person that you know you can be. Whether you find yourself procrastinating because you are afraid of failure, or you have doubt in yourself and your capabilities, maybe you feel overwhelmed, or you're striving for perfectionism and you know that that is just not realistic, these are the techniques that I promise you will help you. It's about trial and error, finding out which one works best for you, which one works best for the big tasks, the little tasks, and how to incorporate them all in your day-to-day life. Because there are ways to actually use these to get out of procrastination, to get out of that place of feeling like you just can't, and also to stop yourself from saying, I can't. When you say I can't, that is exactly what happens. But when you say I can, you actually will and accomplish those things that you set yourself out to do. So whether it is the 5-second rule, the Pomodoro technique, the 2-minute rule, or just focusing on starting and not about completing, these are the things that you can implement in your day-to-day life. Like I said, you can start them right now. You can do it in this video. You can do it after you watch this video. But starting somewhere is already beating procrastination. You're already facing it head on and deciding that it's no longer going to control you. So if you're like me and you find that maybe you fall back into these cycles of procrastination, start to play around with these techniques, see which ones are working for you, and let me know below. So if you haven't watched my first video, now would be a great time to go to the first video. There's a lot of other tidbits in there that will get you inspired and motivated in getting out of a rut of feeling stuck in not having the life that you want to have. And if you haven't subscribed, I would say you should now, because there are going to be a lot more videos talking about discipline and how you can use discipline to have freedom and how to use all these different techniques to create the life that you want to live that's already very possible for you. It's just slow steps to get there. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all on the next one.